Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and warm welcome to today's Powerboost. We all have interest and we want to care for the self. We want to care for the self, so then we are also capable in a position of caring for others. So the more I understand how to care for myself, the more I am able to actually put it into action, and I am caring for myself. To that extent, we are able to also do that for others. And one aspect of self-care is to set your own boundaries and to hold them. On this spiritual journey, one of the first things that we learn is about the self. And a new aspect that emerges on this once we come to know and start to connect to our spiritual identity compared to only relating and be engaged and take value and esteem from my physical identity or social identity. Once I start to connect to my spiritual identity, there's this one aspect we come to know, and that is about responsibility. Now, we are very good in being responsible for many things for many people, even in the name of care. But at the same time, many times, it doesn't work out very well. There's influence, there's exhaustion. We are not able to sustain the self while we care for others. And that's connected, that's deeply connected with the lack of self-care and a lack of being able to and knowing of how to sustain myself. So what do I mean with responsibility? It's actually a big area, but my well-being is very, very important. To the extent I can keep myself well, we have the capacity to truly care and help support others. So what is that important aspect of self-care that we need to learn about? And that is to set our boundaries and to understand that I myself, I carry the responsibility for my own well-being. So to come out from that mindset that someone is responsible for me, someone has to give me, someone has to do for me, someone has to look out for me. When we connect to our spiritual identity, we are also connecting to the innate goodness of the being. And the being is not a man, not a woman. The being is without gender. And the being goes beyond the characteristics, has different characteristics, and transcends the limitation of the physical. And embedded in the being, our innate qualities are of purity, peace, love, truth, bliss even, wisdom and strength. In this way, if I come to know myself in this way, I develop the power, the understanding and the power to discern of what is truly good and right for me. So knowing about more clearly of who I am, especially my innate goodness, and connected to my inner conscience, that then becomes a very good guide for me in order to know what is it that is right or wrong for me, what is good and bad. So anything that supports, sustains, enriches, contributes, is connected to that inner truth and to help it grow, sustain, is beneficial for me. But anything that takes me away from that inner place of truth, beauty, light, is not very beneficial for me. And that includes my own attitudes, reactions towards myself at different times, but of course also reactions, attitudes towards people, situations, and all of these things. And when I speak about or think about setting my boundaries, I want to focus in, narrow it down this morning to understand that I have the right not to take into my heart that is not healthy, or useful, or beneficial for me. We are constantly surrounded by people, images, information. I have to become very vigilant. I have to pay attention and be proactive in choosing and selecting what is it that I take inside and what not. So that means I need to have great value of my own self. I have to value myself of who I am in the bigger picture, especially in relation to my spiritual identity. I have to value myself and give more value to the vision that I uphold for myself, then I give value to what people say or think about me, the vision people have of me. So in order to become free of these influences, I have to be very firm and take responsibility in upholding the goodness that I am and not being pulled in or put myself down by taking things personal. Whoever says something, does something, it's their own story. They're coming from their own history. It's what they feel, what they think, what they understand, how they perceive. It can be pleasant, it can be not so pleasant. So to understand and to accept what each and everyone thinks, how they perceive, how they choose to express themselves or not, to value and respect that. That is that one's choice and has absolutely nothing to do with me. And I have to become proactive in reaffirming my own goodness, my own specialties. And the more we do that in relation to understanding my spiritual identity, we will be able to reaffirm our own goodness in a very natural way, but also free of arrogance. Because when I consider myself to be this living being of consciousness, with the innate quality of purity and peace, I am a pure, peaceful soul, a pure, peaceful being of light. I'm powerful. I take responsibility. I value who I am. I take responsibility for it. And I'm more than happy, and it's my part of my being of sharing that with everyone. And at the same time, as we are so interested in being and doing good, I have to be equally interested and vigilant in choosing to only take what is healthy, beneficial, valuable for me. And we do that without judging, without putting labels on anyone, without judging anyone, simply by understanding whoever does is responsible for what they are doing. If I start to feel bad because of someone's vision or attitude or words thrown at me, and I take it in, yes, it is. I'm neglecting myself. I'm not taking responsibility for myself. And then we start to blame others. And I get into a very vicious cycle and into a bondage, into a dependency. And I find it's a very beautiful and empowering practice. And part of that understanding is, I'm just repeating myself now, that everyone has the right to do and express whatever they choose to do, or however they choose to do. It's not up to me. But it's up to me to respect that. And whatever someone does has actually nothing to do with me. So in this way, if I learn to care for myself in this way, I'm setting a boundary of where do I begin, where do I end, where do you begin and you end in relation to me. And if I discern that what someone is saying to me, someone's vision on me is not very healthy, is not very beneficial, is not coming from a loving, empowering place, it's okay. I need to have mercy. I need to have compassion for that one, because it's not natural to someone to put someone down, to criticize. But we have to be careful. We also have this habit, no? So to learn to respect the self by also doing good, and at the same time not taking things personal, not taking into my heart that is not healthy, that is not beneficial. So let us explore this whole aspect a little bit in meditation. So I sit quietly, relax the body. You can briefly scan the body, beginning from the toes upwards, the legs, the legs, the upper bodies, the arms, chest, neck, facial muscles. Give permission to relax, to release. And then I gently bring the focus of my attention to the center of the forehead. This becomes my entry point to connect to the inner being that resides just behind the eyes. For the next few moments, I choose to let go of the world around me, to even let go, put a pause to all the different thoughts, feelings, sensations that I experience in my mind. And I choose to connect to a much more subtle aspect of myself, my spiritual identity, which is a knowing and awareness about my real self, the true self. I, the being, the real self. I'm invisible to these physical eyes, but I can experience myself. I can understand myself. I'm an unlimited, beautiful, sparkling being of light. I, the being, I'm very special and unique. We all want to be special and try very hard to prove that in many ways. But actually, as a being, I am already unique and special. And innately within me are these life-sustaining or qualities that I live my life by. I am a pure being of light. I am a peaceful being of light. Loveful, blissful, powerful, wise being. I'm very subtle, but I do exist, and I'm aware of my own existence. So to remind myself about my higher nature, my higher self, my true self, is my responsibility. And as I come to know, I remind myself of who I truly am. I start to value my own self based on these inner qualities that I have, that I am. I choose not only to remind myself about this inner goodness and learn and practice to really feel good about myself for no reason. I can be peaceful or happy right now. I let go of all the unnecessary thinking. We have many meaningless thoughts throughout the whole day. Let me go beyond these many thoughts and remind the self about the essence of my own being. To the extent I have value for myself and respect myself, I will not allow to take in, to blindly absorb information, comments, criticism, visions about myself that are not in alignment with who I am. I do check myself, as there's always a margin to improve, but I do not simply adopt what others think or feel about me. I stand up for myself by upholding my inner truth. I remind myself of who I am, and I choose to stay with that. It is not about rejecting or not respecting, but it is my right, it is my responsibility to take care of my own inner well-being. To come to know myself in this new way, I learned to set boundaries in a new way. As I care for myself in this way, I'm also respecting anyone's choices. But that doesn't mean I have to believe them. I have to take them personal. Om Shanti.